welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to continue learning English through useful sentences with the preposition in. Instead of memorizing the word in by itself, we're going to look at common phrases that native English speakers use in everyday conversations. For each sentence, I'll read it first. Then, we'll focus on the phrase within, talk about what it means, and look at another practical example. So, just relax, listen carefully, and try to notice how these expressions are used naturally. Okay, let's get started. 1. We need to create a safe environment for children. Let's start with this sentence. We need to create a safe environment for children. The phrase I want you to remember is in an environment. An environment is the place and the conditions where people live, work, study, or spend their time. We often use in an environment when talking about the conditions around someone. For example, children learn better in a positive environment. Or, people are more productive in a comfortable working environment. So, when you hear in an environment, think about the surroundings or conditions where something happens. 2. I made some of my best friends in school. Here's another useful sentence. I made some of my best friends in school. The expression to remember is in school. We use in school when talking about our experiences as students or things that happened during our school years. For example, I learned how to work with other people in school. Or, she became interested in science in school. So, in school can describe activities, experiences, and relationships connected with our time as students. 3. Many important technological changes happened in the 20th century. Now let's look at a sentence about history. Many important technological changes happened in the 20th century. The phrase here is in the 20th century. We use in with centuries when we talk about when something happened. For example, cars became much more common in the 20th century. We can also use in with years and decades. People started using the internet widely in the 1990s. She was born in 1998. So remember, in the 20th century, in the 1990s, in 1998. 4. In conclusion, we need to find a better solution. Let's move on to a phrase you'll often hear in presentations and essays. In conclusion, we need to find a better solution. The expression is in conclusion. We use in conclusion when we're coming to the end of an explanation and want to summarize our main idea. For example, in conclusion, regular exercise is important for both our physical and mental health. You might hear this phrase in presentations, speeches, and academic writing. So, when you want to introduce your final point, in conclusion is a very useful expression. 5. English is taught in many countries around the world. Now, let's look at this sentence. English is taught in many countries around the world. The phrase to remember is in many countries. We use in when talking about something that happens within a country or several countries. For example, people speak English in many countries. Or, online education is becoming more popular in many countries. It's a simple expression, but you'll hear it very often when people talk about education, culture, technology, or international trends. 6. I hope to travel to several new countries in the future. Here's a sentence about the future. I hope to travel to several new countries in the future. The expression is in the future. We use in the future to talk about a time after now. For example, I'd like to learn another language in the future. Or, technology may change the way we work in the future. It's a very common phrase when talking about plans, hopes, dreams, and predictions. So whenever you're talking about something that hasn't happened yet, you can often use in the future. 7. I was stuck in heavy traffic on my way to work. Now let's talk about traffic. I was stuck in heavy traffic on my way to work. The phrase I want you to notice is in heavy traffic. Heavy traffic means there are a lot of vehicles on the road, and they're moving slowly. So, if you're surrounded by a lot of cars and buses, and you can't move very quickly, you can say, I'm stuck in heavy traffic. Here's another example. We left early because we didn't want to get stuck in heavy traffic. This is a particularly useful expression if you live in a busy city. 8. She has worked in a large international company for 10 years. Let's look at another workplace sentence. She has worked in a large international company for 10 years. The expression here is in a company. We use in a company when we talk about working within an organization or business. For example, my brother works in a technology company. Or, she has a management position in a large company. So, if you're talking about where you work, in a company is a very useful expression to know. 9. There are only 3 people in the room. Here's a very simple, but extremely common expression. There are only 3 people in the room. The phrase is in the room. We use in when someone or something is inside an enclosed space. For example, there's a beautiful painting in the room. Or, everyone in the room was listening carefully. You'll hear this structure with many different places. In the room, in the house, in the kitchen, in the office. So remember the basic idea. Inside a place in. 10. I found this jacket in a store near my house. Now imagine you're telling a friend about something you bought. I found this jacket in a store near my house. The expression is in a store. A store is a place where things are sold, so when we talk about something or someone being inside that place, we use in. For example, I saw a beautiful dress in a store yesterday. Or, there were too many people in the store. It's a simple expression, but it's very useful in everyday conversations. 12. He usually reads books in his free time. Now let's talk about free time. He usually reads books in his free time. The expression is in his free time. We use in my free time, in your free time, or in their free time to talk about activities we do when we're not working or studying. For example, I listen to podcasts in my free time. Or, What do you usually do in your free time? This is also a very useful expression for everyday conversations and English speaking tests. 13. I wrote all the new vocabulary in my notebook. Here's another everyday sentence. I wrote all the new vocabulary in my notebook. The phrase is in a notebook. We use in when we write something inside a notebook. For example, write down the new words in your notebook. Or, I keep a list of useful expressions in my notebook. So, if you're learning English, keeping useful phrases in a notebook can be a great way to review them later. 14. Children can learn English in a more fun way. Now let's look at an expression about the way we do something. Children can learn English in a more fun way. The phrase I want you to notice is in a more fun way. Here, in is used to describe the way or manner in which something is done. For example, we can solve this problem in a different way. Or, you can practice speaking English in a more interesting way. So we can use this structure with many adjectives. In a simple way. In a different way. In an interesting way. In a more effective way. It's a very useful structure when you're explaining how something can be done. 15. She has worked in the medical field for many years. And finally, let's look at a sentence about someone's profession. She has worked in the medical field for many years. The expression is in the medical field. A field is an area of work, study, or professional activity. So, in the medical field means working or having experience in medicine or healthcare. For example, he works in the education field. Or, technology has created many new opportunities in the medical field. You can use the same structure with many other areas. In the education field. In the technology field. In the business field. In the medical field. So, let's quickly review today's expressions. In an environment. In school. In the 20th century. In conclusion. In many countries. In the future. In heavy traffic. In a company. In the room. In a store. In my neighborhood. In his free time. In a notebook. In a more fun way. In the medical field. And remember, don't try to memorize the word in by itself. Instead, learn the whole phrase. When you learn in the future, don't just remember the word future. When you learn in my free time, remember the whole expression. This will help you speak more naturally because you're learning English in chunks, just like you hear it in real conversations. That's all for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode with more useful English sentences. Keep listening, keep repeating, and keep practicing. See you next time.